Pashupati Advani from Pashupati Advani at globalforay.com joins us on the show, and talking about the globe, what a colorful tie that is. I can see flamenco dancers, the Spanish guitar.
It's the mood of the market.
It's the mood of the market.
You crossed 10,000, so let's rock to
celebrate.
That. Yeah, let's
Bull
celebrate.
Markets rise on hope, and they climb the wall of worry, they come down on rise of hope. I see too much of optimism.
Well, you know, the challenge is that everybody's looking in the US and you're at 22,000 on the Dow,
yeah.
which was at 20,000 when we were still at 9,900. So we finally crossed the Rubicon, and they've crossed it, and they're moving to a new level, despite the fact that everybody's throwing fingers at North Korea.
Yeah. So do you think it's this global cheer, the liquidity back home as well, which will continue to stay us afloat?
Well, actually, I think one of the challenges that's come is, you know, this climate issue, and I think the after effects of the hurricanes that have hit US is actually going to pull money back there. And I think that, you know, because there'll be rebuilding, there'll be, you know, jobs created. So I guess Trump is going to be lucky that jobs are going to be created without him doing very much. But I think there is going to be some trend towards moving there. I think the Korean situation is seems to have gone quiet because they've done some compromise in the UN. So I think that, and gold is reflecting that. But I think that, you know, we need to be a little bit watchful, simply because even in our country we've got supply and demand, and I see lots of supply. Though I see SIPs coming in, I see lots and lots and lots of supply. I see a slug of IPOs coming almost every 2 days or 3 days, another IPOs coming to suck more money out of the market.
But how is it that the dollar then is at, you know, multi-month lows at this junction? You know, from a year-to-date perspective, you're still seeing emerging market inflows being higher. You think that trend will change into the last quarter?
It might, only because there'll be projects in America that will start attracting money, and I think rates have to go up there. So far they've pushed it off, but I think this. But
the yields are not suggesting the rates are going to go up in a hurry.
Correct, but I'm saying that, you know, people haven't realized what the damage is, but this seems to be pretty heavy. I mean, things like the state of Florida, people had no petrol, so they couldn't move, and you know, half the state doesn't have power as we speak.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are major infrastructure things that he's going to have to put in, and I guess the wall will be forgotten for now.
Yeah, he has other expenditures to make.
Game of Thrones, and there's the other one that Trump talks about. But anyway, talking about stuff back home, you've been talking about the fresh paper hitting the market, and there's ample amount of choice. We've just closed in on a BRNL, there's matrimony.com, there's ICICI Lombard. Any of these new issuances which has interested you?
Well, I think, you know, if you look at our market, unfortunately, new issues are never priced so cheap that you should jump in. And if you look at the list of new issues that have come over the last 12 months, not too many of them are above where they.
Yeah, but after a year later, you always wonder that you should have bought it at that listing price or the IPO price.
Yeah, so the answer is that, you know, if they tend to be priced very aggressively. So I think, you know, if very few are going to be priced good to go. But I think that, you know, because you're not even going to get reasonable quantities. You know, the new issue market being what it is, you can't even get reasonable quantities, but they are worth looking at in the aftermarket as a way of building the portfolio. And certainly the insurance space looks like a place to be, as you mentioned.
Okay, I'll ask you a quick question. What return do you think Eicher Motor has given in the last 10 years?
Total?
Total. I mean, you put in, let's say, 10,000. How much do you think 10,000
like
has gone up?
40x.
Okay, and how much do you think Ajanta Pharma has given?
Similar.
It's more. So I'll tell you some data point. And
Okay.
here's,
now you put me on the spot.
No, I'm not putting you on the spot. You
no,
know,
but you're roughly in the band, so that's okay.
So
I know both the characters involved. So, I know Rajesh as well as Siddharth.
Okay. So I'll tell you what. I'll give you some interesting data points here, and there you go. You may want to focus here. If you put in 10,000 rupees in December 2007 in Eicher, your 10,000 rupees you can safely multiply it by 79x.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm only 40x off.
40x off, which is okay. In a bull market, you're forgiven. If you invested the same quantum in Ajanta Pharma, your money is up 100x, which means 10,000 has become 10 lakhs. Page Industries.
10 lakh, 10 crores.
No, 10,000 is 100x.
Okay.
Page Industries is 39x. Aurobindo Pharma, it's 12x. And IndusInd Bank, which was a well-discovered, popular bank by 2007, because the change of professional management had already happened, for a large cap stock which is now part of the Nifty 50, in last 10 years your money has gone up by about 13x, and I'm not accounting for dividends here. The minute you throw in the word dividend also, your initial investment would have looked very different. Now money is not made by buying yesterday's growth. We can cheer for these
Well, why don't you give me the figure of Infosys in
10
December
years not giving,
2007?
it's been flat. I don't have that number.
Yeah.
But if I jog my
Yeah.
memory, Infosys, Reliance, L&T, some of these stocks have not really made money. So hypothetically, if you have to talk about some stocks in 2020, what do you think that list should contain?
Well, the list is going to contain sort of, I would say, new economy stocks. So again, you're talking about, for example, anything that's going to be in battery technology, anything that's, maybe the Amarons and Excites if they step up, maybe new players.
So give me an example. Would you bet on InfoEdge? Would you bet on Just Dial? Would you bet on Matrimony.com?
Well, I'd like to bet on Paytm when it comes. I think that Flipkart will also come. I think I'd like to bet on that. So, I mean, those are the kinds that are going to come, and they're going to dwarf the market in terms of size and paper, and they're going to suck all this liquidity that's coming in. And I think all these things are going to come reasonably quickly, given the buoyancy of the markets as of now. And so it's going to be interesting. I honestly believe that the index will change because it's too heavily weighted in favor of banks. So the minute you have payment banks and you have, and you will also have some insurance companies in the indices. So.
But don't you think, Pashupati, once Flipkart, Paytm do hit the markets, the valuations at which they come will actually be the tipping point for the market, because they'll just be they'll be marking the frenzy in the market peak of it.
Well, we'll see when they come. The question is when.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to come. The question is when. But I mean, SoftBank has made a long, hard play and put a lot of money based on a probably 2-cycle, 3-cycle play. So, if they're right, then these things are obviously going to go. And I also read an article that says that if Americans were to digitally shop totally, they would actually save billions of dollars instead of going to retail. I don't know how that's going to work, but I think that that's also a trend.
That would take away a lot of jobs.
Yeah. And lots of defaults on the people who are on their credit cards. So they've got $1 trillion in credit card debt as well.
Exactly.
So that's the challenges.
Okay.
But that's the reason why the dollar is going down, I think, because of that debt.
Yeah.
That debt.
Also, we bought JP at 5 rupees, right?
Sorry?
You bought JP Associate 5 rupees 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Still holding on?
No, unfortunately not. Now the options are probably at 5 rupees.
So which is the next big one you buy? Which is the next JP in Pashupati Advani's portfolio? Where
The small one which will become big.
JP's not become big, but you made your money in JP because you timed it well.
Yeah.
Well,
come on.
well, actually, I'm a great believer in now, as you said, holding companies are trading at a discount. So I'm a great believer in that theme right now. So I've looked at a couple of those. There's some of them are reasonably obvious. No, the smaller ones. Okay. Bajaj is sort of a little bit, big.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Which is the smaller one?
No, there are some smaller ones.
Like Pilani Investments. I mean, you're looking at.
Pilani is not small.
No, it's not a liquid name. It's owned by.
Yeah, so Pilani I haven't looked at for a while, but I should probably.
Which one have you bought, or which one are you planning to buy?
I would rather be quiet on that right now, but I would say that there are half a dozen that are out there that are trading at steeper discounts to NAV than they've been for a while, and they should probably be picked up simply because the spread will narrow.
Which group has a holding company, and which group holding company are you betting on? Let me rephrase it.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. No,
we
they're out there.
Him right now. Maybe after he made his
I haven't looked at Pilani Investments. I should look at it, I guess. It's always been interesting.
Any Jindal Group holding companies which are there on your radar?
No, I have not looked at Jindal Group holding companies. That's again a little more complicated.
Think harder.
Think harder.
No, I mean Jindals have a complicated. Jindal have a holding company. Piramals have a holding company.
Well, Piramals would have been the right place to be a while ago. Now it's at
the South Indian groups have holding company. Like Rane Group has a holding company. Maybe you're looking at Rane Groups. I don't know. Well, something on the similar lines which I'm thinking.
there are, as I said, the spreads have actually widened. So I think it's worth looking at.
Are you looking at DVRs also?
Yeah, well, I do look at that Tata Motors DVR spread from time to time and play that. I also look at the HDFC Bank spread, which I find interesting as it moves from. It's been as wide as 100 rupees one way to 30 rupees the other way in the last 6 months. Wow. So
But what about the obvious names? So after yesterday's deal, are you bullish on IndusInd Bank? Are you bullish on HDFC Bank, because now the market is latching on to the hope that they might be doing something with their financing arm? Well, the obvious names.
Yeah, that's why the spread is opening up between HDFC and HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank has moved up. I think just to take that as an example, yes, it looks like HDFC Bank may do something with their financing subsidiary, but then HDFC is also going to benefit from HDFC Life. So it's a question of who wins. So Some of them are news driven, some of them are not, but I think these are interesting spots to be. But I certainly feel that one should be looking at cheaper stocks, not high multiple stocks, because I think we are becoming a sort of first tier market, and therefore PEs of these high stocks are going to come down. I think the growth is not there the way it used to be, and I think that generally you don't want to be in 40 PE stocks.
We've often asked investors or traders who look at low-priced stocks on what are the guidelines that they follow for the benefit of our viewers on how to not get into a trap. Is there something that you can recommend?
Well, first of all, you have to buy companies that actually have real businesses. You actually have to believe that the trends of those businesses are right and that they're sustainable. A lot of people have gone into, say, logistics. It is sustainable. It's having difficulties because of the teething problems of GST. But I personally feel that logistics companies are going to make out like bandits. But it's going to be a longer haul. It may take 3 to 5 years to do it. Again, one can look at cigarette companies. People have been talking wonderful things about ITC and distribution. But the government's against cigarettes. So, I've been a holder for a long time of Godfrey Phillips. It's actually down 50% in this last few months. So, again, you can't be right all the time, but I think you have to basically jump on themes that make sense and then hold them. I don't think, that there's that. And, one of my quandaries right now is I'm long coal India and I don't know what to do. Because some brokers are saying, Motilal Oswal says it's going to 310 and Morgan Stanley says it's going to 220. So that's always interesting.
Production numbers were pretty decent for the last month.
And I think the good thing is Piyush Goyal has remained as a minister, so obviously he's kept the coal ministry, so obviously things are going to happen there as well. I'm a great supporter of his.
But I just
so what's the kind of market that we're going to be staring at a year from now? It's been great going so far globally as well as domestically. What next in the next 1 year?
See, I think regarding what's going to turn this market downwards would be any kind of an international incident. I think domestically we're pretty strong. But on the other hand, what is putting pressure and putting a cap on the market is the huge number of IPOs. And I just feel that, this normally happens in the month of March. It's happening this year in the month of September. So who knows? I think that, we're going to, we've got pressure in September and October before Diwali for IPOs. So, that's a good thing.
But there's no large IPO which is in the pipeline, or is there?
Well, there are lots of little ones, and they all add up, and they've got to be absorbed.
But they wouldn't have the potential to suck out that enormous amount of liquidity, or would it?
No, but I think more and more the bigger ones. The life companies are certainly there.
Yeah,
they're going
the
to
insurance
be taking
the big difference, Pashupati, what I feel is that I know, over the years you've said that liquidity, IPOs have sucked out liquidity. But, earlier the IPO cycle was like a 1 month cycle or a 28-day cycle. Right now, the entire process, A, it's digital. B, the cycle has come down from 21 or 28 days to about 7 days. Large part of the financing is done by banks, where banks are sitting on excess CASA. Somebody takes money from them, they're more than happy to give it to you at about 10-11%. So, we've historically used this IPO indicator like Reliance IPO or HCL Tech IPO, what happened to some, IPOs when there are boom times.
Reliance Communications,
Reliance Communication never done IPO because always an offshoot of Reliance Industries. But Reliance Power is the classic example which we think about it. My only thing with this IPO indicator is that the rules of the game have changed.
No, the rules of the game have changed, but that doesn't stop the supply from actually hitting the market.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's the challenge.
That's fresh paper.
So, whatever the SIPs have been positive, money's been coming into SIPs, but against that, you add up all these small IPOs, it's still going to take, few hundred crores out of the system. So it has to get absorbed, whether it gets absorbed in retail, which would have come into mutual funds as investment, or whether it's going to be in the mutual funds themselves, time will tell. But certainly it has to get absorbed somewhere, and it's certainly not getting absorbed with banks financing it in the intermediate term.
Okay.
So,
Always great speaking with you.
I want to make one comment.
Sure.
Today you all have to go home, and it's Apple Day. So I think
it is Apple Day.
So I think that's going to be the
Every
major.
day is
So
an
are you
Apple
saying
Day.
don't buy a mutual fund for 1 lakh and buy an Apple phone?
It
Is
looks
that what you're
well,
saying?
maybe ET now is going to offer a prize for the first person who gets an iPhone X to India.
Well, we believe that to rise with India, you should invest in India. And if you want to invest in India, bet on India, invest in good companies.
A sip for a lakh rupees is more prudent than an iPhone X for a lakh.
What is your tip?
Well, buy the iPhone X,
or
right?
iPhone X?
iPhone X.
iPhone X, okay. That's
But for
simple.
viewers at large who want to take advantage of the compounding story, it's an SIP for 1 lakh. But thanks
Thank
very
you.
much, Pashupati, for joining us and giving us your views on the markets.